Hello and welcome to our lunchtime live stream. And this is the time in the festival when many happy people are gathered in the Peedie Kirk Hall in Kirkwall, seated around tables that are full of Orkney fare. Well, we can't sit physically at a table in the Peedie Kirk, but we can welcome Helen Muir from the Peedie Kirk, who would be there at the door to welcome us all in. Hello, Helen.
Hi, Howie. In Orkney, we would say, hi, Howie, what like?
Well, very fine, Helen. And I keep thinking about these tables full of food. For people who haven't been at the lunches, what kind of food could we expect?
Well, we really want to promote Orkney food. We have wonderful food of all kinds in Orkney, and that is the main aim of the lunches, is to provide people who don't know about Orkney food how good it is.
And as an example, we could start with some different types of soup.
Yes, that's endless. We have probably 5 different types of soup every day. So it goes from just plain vegetable soup to somebody made the most wonderful peanut soup, which was absolutely great. And nowadays we have to watch because there's so many people with allergies. So we have to be careful that everything's labelled, no lentils, vegetarian, all these things. But we try to cook for everybody.
And then we can follow up with, well, there's all kinds of things, bannocks and bread and things like beef and salmon and things like that.
Yes, we're very lucky. The producers are very kind to us. And we always can produce baked salmon, smoked salmon, beef, all sorts of stuff. And we were very surprised to know that everybody wasn't aware of mince rolls. And this is just a roll or a bap, some folk would know it as. And we put mince in it like a sandwich. And it's really tasty. We have that once or twice a week. And the bear bannocks are very local and they go down well, yeah.
A bear bannock is really good, isn't it? What's the best way, would you say, to eat a bear bannock?
With a bit of cheese, maybe. Mm-hmm.
Bit of Orkney
on
cheese.
The side, yes, Orkney cheese. Farm cheese is good, yes.
And then you get lots of home baking, Helen.
Oh, yes. I don't bake, but we've got an army of people who bakes. I think maybe something like lemon drizzle cake is really popular, or, smiddy cake, and there's all sorts of things, yes. Sorry, that's my phone.
You're in demand today, and just one final one to say. You get, by the sound of it, you get tremendous support.
We get a lot of support from the members of the church and from the community, but most of all for the people coming to the Science Festival. And it's wonderful because we've made so many friends, people from all over the world. And sometimes there'll be somebody missing and we wonder why and how we can always fill us in with the details. Yeah, it's really good.
And maybe some of them could be listening today for all we know.
It would be nice. And for the Peedie Kirk, a big hello to them. Yes.
Helen, thank you very much indeed. We're going to look forward to speaking further in the process of the festival, and then there's the opportunity for people to gather into rooms afterwards and join you and some of the others round the table.
Yes. Okay, right.
Thank you very much indeed,
okay,
Helen.
Howie. Bye.
Cheers. Bye for now, Helen. And we'll move over to a man who's travelled up to Orkney, and he's been out and about in the Orkney sea air, Tristan Cameron-Harper. Tristan, hello and welcome.
Hey, how are you? It's good to see your face again. How are you doing?
And you. Now, what have you been doing since you arrived in Orkney?
So far, I've been up to a few mountains. My first journey is to head towards north. I've been up to Ben Macdui in the Highlands there, and it was a terrible day weather-wise. So I've been exploring the Green Loch, which is famous for being green, and a few more mountains called Squirgui. And currently resting up in Orkney. It's a little windy today, but it's been a pleasant few days so far.
You've been pretty active in that time. Mountains, climbing, outdoors, doing a lot.
Being super active, and obviously having my dog Nacho with me, he pushes me to my limits sometimes. So I'm always out and about and making sure he's lively and active. And yeah, I've been non-stop exploring, and it's taking advantage of this weather more than anything.
And how about in Orkney? Not so many mountains.
No, but I was over to Hawaii the other day, and it was nice to get some height and it's always nice to be on an island and being at the highest point and seeing the views and seeing the textures of the land and the sun just hitting off the parts of Orkney and Kirkwall. It was really good to see that vantage point.
What about one day climbing the Old Man of Hoy? Is that on your list of challenges?
Yes, that is definitely on my list, Howie. 100%. I need to find I've got a few climbing partners, so maybe actually it might happen when we're allowed to travel. I've got a friend in America that wants to come over and climb that with me, so that's on the list, and hopefully we'll get some good weather then too.
That would be a great one to do. Tristan, thank you very much indeed for joining us. And I should also say, just before you go, that you're preparing various videos of your travels and that we'll be able to enjoy them on the YouTube link.
Yes, please go and check that out. I've uploaded a first video there, which you can enjoy, and it's about 4 minutes long, and so it gives you an insight of to what it's like being in the Highlands if you're not much of a hiker or a climber, but hopefully you enjoy the video, and I'll see you soon.
Going to look forward to that. Thank you very much indeed, Tristan. And now we'll go over with food very much in mind to welcome Wendy Barrie, who's joining us from Aberdour in Fife. Wendy, hello.
Hello, Howie. Good to see you again.
Well, you too. And you have brought us a recipe we can make for our lunchtime out of foraged foods.
Well, I was thinking it was very appropriate listening to all these lovely soups. And here's another one maybe for 2021. It's a Nippon suppa, which is a Swedish name for a rosehip soup. And here I am in my kitchen with a nice bit of mutton in front of me, not the soup, but here are the rosehips. Now these ones are, you can see, are from a dog rose, but you can see some of them are a little bit more bulbous, and they're from the beech rose. And you can use any of them, you can mix them up together. Personally, I think the dog rose actually have a little bit more flavor, but the beech ones have a bit more volume. So actually a combination of the two works really well. You'll find the recipe for this on my website, scottishfoodguide.scot. You'll get the full recipe there. And you'll find there's no competition because I've never met one other person picking rose hips in Fife. So maybe you've got more competition in Orkney, but certainly not here in Fife. And they're so delicious, and they're packed with vitamin C and vitamin A. And you can make a lovely healthy soup. And you don't actually need to sit there and tediously get out all the seeds. If you top and tail them and chuck them in a pan, just don't liquidize it because you don't want these seeds all scrunched up. Pass it through a sieve and you'll leave behind the bits you don't want, and you'll have a lovely puree. And then thicken it up with cornstarch, or in Sweden they use potato starch. They're very into their spuds over there, so it's always potato starch for thickening. And it's delicious piping hot or chilled. It's a really delicious soup. There it is. We have to have a swirl of cream. We're dairy fanatics in this house. You can skip the cream if you're so inclined, but with the cream, it is just fantastic. And look at the color. I mean, it's just a really lovely soup. The other thing is you can freeze a bag of rose hips once they're top and tailed, and then they're ready to go. So you can have them at other times of the year.
Well, that looks extremely nourishing, Wendy. Just the very thing, rosehip soup. Thank you very much indeed. And in fact, it's just the thing, I guess, as the nights draw in and it gets a bit chillier this time of year, just the thing to warm us up.
It's lovely. You can have a mug of it beside the fire and you're totally hygge. And perhaps also to join in the hygge, I was told that your Peedie lunches, you sometimes have a wee dram. I was informed of this. So I've got myself my Orkney rum at the ready, because that's another way of warming the cockles, the rosehip soup and the Orkney rum. So we're ready for a wild day here in Fife. I'd better not drink too much. I'm on later.
Well, in that case, I'll simply say cheers, and cheers to you, Wendy, and thank you very much. And I'll say cheers to our next guest, Eric Walker. And indeed, Eric will probably need something to warm him up because he's going out stargazing tonight. Eric, hello and welcome.
Good afternoon, Howie. It's good to see you again.
And what have you got to tell us to look out for tonight?
Right, well, Howie, this slot is for absolute beginners in astronomy, and anyone can do this. It's designed for naked eye viewing and commonly available binoculars, 8x40s, 10x50s. There is absolutely no need for telescopes. I'm going to present something each day as if I was viewing from North Ronaldsay. So you'll see on the title slide here, there's a sketch from Greek mythology, the chariots of Sol, the sun god, and Selene, the moon goddess, being driven across the night sky, chased by a pack of wolves. If we go on to the next slide, you'll see that there is not a wolf in sight. The moon at about 11 p.m. Is about 2 clenched fist heights above the horizon, so very, very easy to see. It peaks in height about 3 a.m. if anyone's still up at that time in the morning. If I go to the next slide, this is what you'll see. The moon is 17 days old. It's waning, and it's 93% illuminated. If I go to the next slide, I'm going to point out very striking features that can easily be seen and identified by beginners. There are 4 seas I'm going to refer to. The Ocean of Storms, it's the largest sea on the moon. It's 1,600 miles from top to bottom and covers an area of 1.5 million square miles. It's absolutely huge. The Sea of Rains, just to the top and right of it, it is actually the largest crater in the solar system. It's a crater that was flooded with lava at one time, and that's why it looks smooth. The Sea of Serenity, this is an area of interest to lunar geologists. It has what's called a mass concentration or a gravitational high. It's very, very dense, and the lunar geologists are very interested to find out what's causing that. And finally, another sea that's easily seen is the Sea of Tranquility. And it actually has a slight bluish tint compared to the rest of the moon due to metal content in the rocks, mainly titanium. If we go on to the next slide, you'll see I've pointed out 3 craters and 1 mountain range. In the top left, as you're looking at it, is Aristarchus. It's an impact crater. It's the brightest formation on the lunar surface. It's nearly double the brightness of most moon features, and it's deeper than the Grand Canyon. Very easy to spot with the naked eye, and very, very easy to spot with a pair of binoculars. Just below it to the right is Copernicus. It has a very prominent ray system. It's a fairly young and well-preserved crater, and you'll notice that there are masses of rays that are coming out from the center of the crater. And the last crater is down in the bottom, called Tycho. Very, very standout lunar impact crater. It's very young. It's only 108 million years old. It has smaller craters around the outside of it and massive rays that you'll see coming out of it. And they were formed from large chunks of ejecta during its formation. And finally on this slide, you'll see the Apennine Mountains. They are a distinct rugged mountain range bounding the edge of the Sea of Rains, and it was formed during the initial stages of the moon formation about 4 billion years ago. And now if we go into the last slide, I put this one in because everyone asks me about this, is where did Apollo 11 land back in July 1969, and it was in the bottom left corner there of the Sea of Tranquility. You can't see it. You would need a you wouldn't see it at all, actually. You'd need to look at pictures from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. But that's where it is if anybody ever asks you. And that's it, Howie. That's what we're going to be looking at tonight at North Ronaldsay.
Well, we hope for clear skies tonight, Eric, and a reminder that Eric will be joining us tomorrow and indeed at all the lunchtime sessions through the festival. And I think, Eric, it's 10 o'clock tonight, you're stargazing for beginners?
I am starting at 10 o'clock tonight with 2 people from the North Ronaldsay Astronomy Group, Alex Wright and Ollie Gibb. So they'll be with me live on the scene to tell me what they can see. Everyone's welcome.
We do hope for clear skies tonight. Thank you very much indeed, Eric. And I should just briefly round off by saying in the lead up to then, at 2 o'clock, we'll be hearing about a ship 400 years old, raised from the depths of Stockholm Harbour. That's the ship that rose again. 3:30, the history of temperature measurement. 5 o'clock, we'll find about the seas around Svalbard in the north of Norway. Then there's a trip to the Hoy Kirk to hear about the settlement of Rackwick, and there's a beautiful concert of music this evening. In the meantime, I'll simply say that there's an opportunity to join the rooms in the Peedie Kirk lunch and meet our 4 speakers from today. There's a link in the live chat, I think it is. And in the meantime, I'll simply say thank you to all 4. That's to Helen, Tristan, Wendy, and Eric. And thank you to viewers and listeners everywhere. Bye now.